Martino Gubert. I'm a researcher in building technology at EURAC Research. This is the first of 4 videos produced within Infinite Project. So today we are here to talk about the main challenges of deeply retrofitting the EU building stock through a multifunctional facade concept. So, but first let's start with a discussion about the main challenge of the building renovation. So today we are here with Chiara Stanghini from Edera. So Chiara, could you just explain us about the main challenge of the retrofit, even looking at the fact that we need to reach the 2050 goals?
Well, of course, the main challenge that today the building sector is facing it's a renovation rate. In fact, according to the new Energy Performance Building Directive targets, European countries should renovate their building stock 3 times faster than they are currently doing. However, the real estate sector, with respect to other industry, is having hard times in finding the proper decarbonization pathway. Indeed, as we saw in Italy and also in other European countries, incentives made available by the government were not enough. They just overloaded the production system without having a long-lasting effect. This is due mainly to three factors. The first one is that in the construction sector, the 20%, more than 20% of the workforce is over 65 years old. So in the upcoming years, the workforce availability will decrease, and industries and companies will not be flexible enough to adapt to fast peak of demands given by temporary governmental measures. Second, more than 90% of the companies in construction have less than 10 employees, which means that they have limited financial and managerial capacity to adapt to quick changes. Finally, lastly, construction industry is one of the sectors with the lowest productivity rate, especially compared to the manufacturing industry. This implies that the 39, so almost the 50% of cost related to project are not generating value for the final client. In all this context, Renovation 4.0 is then the key solution to be able to renovate one home each minute in order to be able to reach the 2050 targets, having also limited financial resources. But what is a Renovation 4.0 that also Infinite Project is tackling? Renovation 4.0 means moving the production and the assembly of retrofit element from on-site, as it occurs for traditional intervention, off-site in a controlled factory environment. In this way, the manufactured element leverage on the coupling of digitalization, industrialization, and integration of components to be able to reduce the time of the intervention, improve the quality of the project, and enlarge the variety of available solutions, together with many more other advantages that will be explained in the following videos.
Interesting. So, thanks for the overview. I was thinking how this Renovation 4.0 concept applies to the retrofit of facade. Could you just explain a bit more in details?
Yes, sure. So, in general, the prefabricated facade were produced for the new construction industry since several years. So, of course, there are already available competencies and know-how on this topic. Moreover, the widespread diffusion of technologies enable digital tools and processes to be available and more affordable also for small enterprises that historically didn't have the capacity to adopt high-tech and complex operation. These are just two of the reasons why facades are the most advanced element within the renovation 4.0 movement, even if also roofs and technical systems are being quite developed. In addition, facades are the surface of the buildings that dissipate most of the energy that is produced. So acting on existing facade is crucial to lower the greenhouse gas emissions of the stocks and so reaching, as we said, the 2050 target. In fact, in general, according to the geographical location of the building, acting and renovating the facades allows not only to lower the winter heating needs, but also to contain the summer cooling and improve the anti-seismic performance of the building, which are a crucial topic, especially in the country in the south of Europe. Of course, this is possible because Facade 4.0 are not just traditional ethics, but they are one single element that combines together different components, such as insulation panels, self-supporting frame, photovoltaic panels, solar thermals, windows, electric cables, air ducts, punctual mechanical ventilation, and all the BMS sensors.
So, all clear, thanks. So, are there any tangible or concrete initiative or some movement that show this approach ongoing?
Well, of course, since Renovation 4.0 is spreading throughout all Europe, there are many examples that could be mentioned. However, with respect to the new construction sector, of course, the existing building stock have some peculiarities in the different geographical area. So, off-site retrofit and facade panels needs to adapt in order to meet the characteristic of each specific country. For this reason, the Energy Strong movement was born in 2010. Indeed, having available solution or product and solution provider is not enough. These initiatives was born mainly to solve one specific challenge, so to be able to create the needed condition for the market uptake of Renovation 4.0. Nowadays, Energy Strong is growing in several European countries, such as the Netherlands, United Kingdom, Italy, France, and Germany. In each of these countries, a dedicated market development team was born according to the local context with different models. So, for example, in Italy was a non-profit private entities, while in Germany was the public energy agency DINA. All these teams have a common goal, so to secure a stable demand, a volume of buildings, as a driver for the industrialization of the process on the supply side. Even if each team has its own business model for the sustainability of the initiatives, the common denominator is the market, the first market segment that they targeted, which is social housing. Why social housing? Because it has big volumes, homogeneous stock to be renovated, which can easily foster economies of scale and the reduction of price for innovative product as Facade 4.0.
It's very interesting that it's so spread in the European countries. So I guess some building has already been retrofitted with this approach. Could you show us some example?
Yes, indeed. In general, in Europe, around 12,000 dwellings have already been renovated using the Energy Strong approach, proving that customized standardization of solution is possible and it's working. All the different products that have been tested were applied to different building targets with different level of integration, complexity, and multi-functionalities. For example, in this project in Germany, in Bochum, the building reached zero energy through the installation of around 100 facade panels that have the peculiarity to have very different type of claddings and finishing. As we can see, there are wood elements or colored plasters. In addition, self-supporting prefabricated balconies were also installed. Before, there were no balconies on this facade, so to enable tenants to have outdoor spaces without creating thermal bridges on the existing facade, because they are not anchored there. In this case, in France, for instance, we have a totally different building target. It's a very big building with more than 1,000 apartments. In here, the complexity of the panels is not too high, because the requirement needed only an RGB level. However, the peculiarity is that they were installed very fast. All the big east facade took less than 1 week. This shows that this approach has a high replicability potential for all the French suburbs. Moving to the Netherlands, we can see, for example, that of course it's also possible to include the windows within the facade panels. Indeed, this house was fully renovated, including, of course, the roof, in only 1 day. The integration of windows is the case also for the Infinite Italian demonstrator, as we will explain in the following video. Finally, we have also an example in the United Kingdom. Here we can see how solution can adapt to the local market needs, rethinking the English idea of the porch. Indeed, a 3D prefabricated module, including the plug-and-play heating generation system, was installed outside the houses, attached to the existing facade, to be able to create an external volume for the houses. Finally, of course, also in Italy, the curve of realized project is growing fast, with many solutions that have different structural materials, such as wood, steel, concrete, or hybrid combination. What is a bit peculiar of the Italian context is the attention to the design quality and architectural vision to adapt to the constraint of different building typologies, and especially of those of listed buildings. For example, in the first Energy Sprong project in Cortefranca, the facade of site panels are unloaded their weight on a new external foundation, so that the anti-seismic performance of the building can be improved. In addition, they are vertically oriented, so that in the joints between two panels, some inspectable spaces are created to make cables and ducts run on the external facade to reach all the apartments. Finally, also in this case, a prefabricated balcony was installed, but in this case it's anchored to the existing facade. In another Italian project in Via Russoli, here the renovation has been made on 4 big social housing towers, with wood panels having a bio-based insulation material derived from the scraps of rice crops. This shows how circularity and sustainability principle can be applied also to high-rise building, still respecting the fire safety regulation. Finally, just to show another type of solution in this last project, hybrid steel frame panels were installed, readapting the concept of ventilated facade, but lowering the number of needed steps for the assembly on site. In this case, even if the solution is not 100% off-site, it has the advantages to be cheaper than the other example, very versatile, and very light, so that it can be fast and easily installed without scaffoldings. Overall, as we can see, there are different and many possible combinations that include both passive and active system within the framework of Facade 4.0. In this sense, of course, European-funded project, besides other market initiatives, such as Horizon 2020 Infinite, are the place where cutting-edge solutions are developed and tested. So now it's me to have a question, a curiosity. How does the project Infinite contribute to the Renovation 4.0 movement, and more specifically on the deep off-site retrofit of building envelope?
Infinite project is an Horizon 2020 project funded by the European Commission and is mostly dealing with the development of 5 different industrialized kits for the deep retrofit, mostly on facade. To develop this kind of kits, we also included the social acceptances and the social part, so the overall user-centered approach. And then we are now testing this solution in 3 demo cases, in Italy, in Slovenia and in France. But we will deepen in the topic in the next videos.